Hello everyone and welcome to Hyper Curious. I'm Sapphire and today I'm gonna talk about how I learned French. I've been learning French for years. I've had 8 years of it at school, but I don't have the feeling that I speak it very well. I've always been pretty insecure about my French. I've always had the feeling it was not good enough to actually talk to native speakers and or even understand anything they are saying. So the way French is taught at school didn't really fit with my learning style because I was not the person who could just sit down and study vocabulary or study all the grammar rules, and it just didn't work for me. But now, a few years later, I actually do want to learn French, and I've been searching for ways to do so because it's not very easy to find ways. Because I hate just studying vocabulary or grammar rules. So I'm trying to learn French without having to learn all those rules, and it might be difficult, but I think I can do it because I just don't want to learn lists of vocabulary or learn the grammar rules by heart. So I'm trying to learn more by doing stuff with French, and that doesn't mean I'm not learning any kind of vocabulary or anything, because obviously it's difficult to learn if you don't do that. But I'm trying to do it in a more fun way. So yeah, I want to talk about how I learned French. A few years ago, I decided randomly, now I want to start learning French. From that point on, every evening, I read at least one page in the first Percy Jackson book in French. I've had this book for a while by then, but I think I maybe read like one chapter in it, so not a lot. And then I was like, no, I want to learn French. I'm gonna start reading one page every evening, or at least one page. Sometimes I did a few more, but I actually did that for a pretty long time, and I eventually finished the whole book. It wasn't as bad as French normally is for me because I absolutely love Percy Jackson. I also talked about that in my previous video, but they're my favorite books. The author is my favorite author, and yeah, it's just amazing. And that's why reading in French was less, how do I say this? Less horrible than if I just had to read French books for school. We've had to do that, and it was hell because my French wasn't so good and the books weren't interesting, and it was just difficult to get through those books. But this was much easier. And yeah, like I said before, I absolutely love these books. And after this, I started in the second book. I'm not so far yet. I'm only like here, but I'm slowly reading it and going through. At some point during this book, I gave up on just reading every single day. And so I'm not doing that anymore, but maybe I should start again because that actually worked. But I'm still reading sometimes if I just find a random motivation to read, or to read French, most specifically, because I do like reading. I don't read very often because I don't have the time for it, but I do like it, and I try also to read in other languages because I love learning languages. I will probably make other videos about other languages I'm learning. Anyway, so I have this. I am now currently reading the second one, and still bit by bit reading through. And I've also already bought the third one because I was able to buy this second-handedly, so it was way cheaper than otherwise. And French books are not that expensive because they have like very thin papers. They're not the most beautiful covers, but that makes it way cheaper to buy those books. But this one was even cheaper, so yeah, I just had to buy it, and I knew that I will eventually finish this one, so then I can start with the third one. So yeah, I try to read books because to get used to how sentences are structured, how books are written, because it's always useful to also be able to understand written situations very easily. And I don't have difficulties with like how to pronounce stuff because I've had a lot of years at school. Yeah, I do learn words because of it, because I know the stories extremely well. I learn grammar structures, but like passively, so I don't have to learn like, okay, that grammar means that, and like lists and just sorry, I hate studying grammar and vocabulary, so I will probably complain a few more times during this video. I'm sorry already. But yeah, it's just a better way for me to engage with the language. And yeah, I love those books, so it's a good way for me to, you know, to read. I have also other books in French, and one of them is a story about Lupin against Sherlock Holmes. I love both series, and I know it's not the Lupin from like, it's not about the same character as in the series Lupin, but it's still like that's the Netflix series is based on those stories. So I'm very curious to see the brilliant detective Sherlock, because I also love the series Sherlock, and against that brilliant criminal, or I don't know if it's against or with, because I haven't read the book, but it's something with those two. And the idea just intrigued me. Like the best criminal and the best detective together in the same book, just I thought it was amazing. So yeah, I bought that book. I have read only one chapter yet, and the chapters are very thin, so I don't know yet how the book is gonna play out, but I'm very curious about that. I'm also not able to show it because I don't have it here with me. So yeah, I'm really excited about that book, and I will just keep reading, keep improving my French bit by bit. And yeah, related to my books, I also have a notebook that will help me learn languages. It's like a collection of everything related to languages. So I have learning languages. So here I have like an index with which language is which color, because I like to label it in the rest of the notebook. And eventually, if I have a bit more, because I've only recently been starting to use it, actually started using it the 8th of November. But yeah, like this is the 8th of November, and then the other two things I think that there were in it are pretty recently. So yeah, I'm also gonna make an index, and I don't know what else I'm gonna put in it. So I'm also learning Irish, Hebrew, Spanish, and German. Spanish and German are not my priorities right now, and I'm doing Irish and Hebrew mostly on Duolingo, so I don't use this book often for that. But then what I actually wanted to show you is my book trackers for French. So I have le tracker de lecture. So I've only had two books in here: the Le Défi Holmes contre Lupin et les Brigades. So that's the book I was talking about, like where you have Sherlock Holmes against Arsène Lupin. And I just have all the chapters, and then when I started and when I finished, and like for Percy Jackson 2, I have started things and not finishing chapters without knowing when it was. So I just put yes, but I try to keep everything that is a part of a language. I try to keep in that language. So I début et fini instead of putting it in English, to also try to learn by having to search small words, because I'm actually not sure if fini is the right way to say this, because it could be fin or fini, or maybe there is like an S behind it, or I'm not entirely sure that it's even correct what I wrote, but I will figure it out eventually when I continue learning the language. So yeah, like you see, I only have 2 pages yet, but I will use this more, and I might put some important grammar rules. I know I said that I hate studying grammar, and that is true. But some things might be important if it makes your life way easier. But there are also a lot of rules in French that have a lot of exceptions, and those rules aren't very useful because if you have a rule that only is true for like 20% of all the words, then why does it make sense to learn that rule? So I will probably put some useful grammar rules in here or write some texts like I also did for Irish. But yeah, I'm I'm gonna try to learn as less grammar and vocabulary like I can. I do, however, learn vocabulary, and I actually use Closemaster for that. Closemaster is something I'm only started to get into, so I right now I have a 1 day streak because I did it yesterday, but I forgot the day before. I am starting to use it, and I will probably remember more and more when I use it more often. But the thing I like more about Closemaster versus Duolingo is that I am too, because my level is too good for Duolingo. In Duolingo, you learn words and like the basic grammar things and stuff like that. But my level is too high for all those beginner words, and I know you can like skip parts of the course, but still it doesn't fit with me for learning French, so I only use that for Irish and Hebrew. But I find Closemaster nicer because you get sentences instead of words. Like in Duolingo you have like, oh, what is this word in French? And in Closemaster you have, this is your sentence that you have to translate, and you have a word that's missing, so good luck filling in the words and like translating it. You learn more translating in context instead of translating each word. So that's why I like it, and I'm currently doing the fluency fast track. It's also still very doable for me right now. But yeah, I will just show you how a lesson works, and maybe by the time I say this, I'm already like doing a time lapse of the lessons, but also I've changed a few things about the settings because I made it myself a bit more difficult. So I put all a color hint, I've put that off because it was too easy. You could just see if you were right or wrong. And also the text box size I like to be always the same, because otherwise you know, oh, it's a long word or it's a short word, or you're gonna make less mistakes because you know what direction you have to search in. But I do want to make mistakes because I learn from mistakes. I learn because I have things wrong and then I have to do it again. That's my favorite. And you can also like do things with the translations, but I like to keep it for now because I'm not too good at filling things in into context in French yet. But I might do that if I'm more confident with French, and I'll see what I do with it. Okay, I don't have Closemaster Pro, so that's sometimes annoying because yeah, now I have the problem that I can only do 30 sentences, so that's mostly 2 lessons and a half. So yeah, that's a bit annoying, but I first want to see if I actually gonna keep on using Closemaster before I am gonna think about buying Pro or not. But I do like Closemaster. It fits my learning goals better than Duolingo, and it's still like very gamified with like the nice melodies when you finish a lesson, and I like it more than Duolingo for French. So yeah, I like Closemaster. Outside of books, I also use other media types to learn French. I've recently watched videos of Syllabus. She has a YouTube channel about like science stuff, but it's usually more weird science stuff. Like questions you may have asked yourself, but are pretty weird. Like, for example, she has a video about if wearing white in the summer is actually better than wearing black or another color. She also has a video about why it's so difficult to open like the things that packages say are easy. Like for example, like a carton box, and you have like a pulley thing that's it often fails, or a package where you should just be able to rip it open, and also just, you know, doesn't really work as easily as it should work. She has a lot of videos about these random questions. She explains it with science, and she explains it very well, and I really like her because I've been looking for YouTube channels in French because I have found some, but they just didn't resonate with me. I didn't like the color of the voice of the people who are doing the YouTube channel. So I do like her, and yeah, maybe you like it too. So check it out. I will put the link to her channel in the description. I've also watched a video of Dirty Biology, and I also like his videos, but I'm just less interested in biology, so it's less for me. But maybe I'll check it out sometimes if I see like a video that might interest me. If you are interested in biology, you check that out too. They also, I think they both often have subtitles in English, so you don't need to speak French to watch their videos. And yeah, I do like it. I'm excited to watch more videos from her. Um, and I've also watched the YouTube channel Cyprien. By the way, I will put all the links to the YouTube channels I talk about in the description. But Cyprien is more like comedy videos, like for example, advertisement versus real life, things like that. It is funny, and it's also good to learn French. I don't know if he has English subtitles, so yeah, maybe check that out, but if they have it or not. But yeah, I'm starting to find like some YouTube channels that I like that are in French, so I can use that to learn French. Bit by bit, I'm figuring out how I want to learn French, and if you have any ideas, like let me know in the comments. This is how I learn French. I hope maybe I gave you ideas of how you can learn French or other languages, because most of the things I talked about, or you can also do for other languages. Like Closemaster has a lot of available languages, so that's very nice about them. So yeah, I hope you liked watching it, and I will normally see you in 2 weeks. Next week it will be Amethyst again. So see you, bye!